beats. Ah.
Like if I'm out like now, I prefer to hear this than like Burna Boy.
That's fair. That's fair. But when I'm out like on a
when
club
I'm
vibe,
out,
Course,
but I'm saying when I'm like
in
during the day,
yeah,
I don't
it's
hear
true.
that.
Yeah, you don't. Unless you, I like the dances. I'm more into that stuff. Okay, and we're back to K.Y.R.A TV. I'm your host, of course, Devon. And so we're gonna lead with your name, and you're not a student, so tell me what you do.
My name is K.Y.R.A G. Currently, I am the host of another YouTube show. But aside from that, I'm a journalist, I'm a researcher, I'm a writer. I was an entrepreneur for like 10 years back in the States, but I stopped that to pursue my journalism career here.
That's pretty dope. And yeah, don't be shy. Give us your tags. I'm definitely gonna put her link in terms of her YouTube at the bottom.
Yeah.
But yeah, tell us.
So my website is griotofthediaspora.com. I build websites. That's also what I do here as well for my main stuff. So you can check that out. You'll see my YouTube, you'll see my articles and new stuff that I'll be posting.
And she's being very modest. She does an amazing job of journalism and tapping into the diaspora and getting a lot of different cultures and perspectives and narratives. So don't mind her. But so let's first, because I have the questions here. We're not new to this, but you have been living here for a few years. So let me get into the questions, because there is a structure, but I'm very curious to know your perspectives here. So first and foremost, what are your how do you feel? What are your perspectives of Ghana, of Africa? Like the current state. What is the current state of Ghana to you?
The current state, I would say, is, I think that's the point, that there isn't a current state. In the sense of there's not a clear plan for the locals or us. So it's hard to even really define that, because if you are unknowledgeable about Africa in general, you might come and you might say it's underdeveloped. But then if you're coming from a certain African country, you might come to Ghana and be like, this is very developed. And then if you're like us coming from the West, we're like, it's in between. It's like, it's not, it's not desolate, but it's obviously not, what we're used to. So, infrastructure wise, there's a lot of nice buildings in particular areas. Who they're owned by is another story. Politically it's interesting. If you talk to the average Ghanaian, they'll tell you kind of like, how they feel about the presidents and the things that have been going on. As a diasporan, it's interesting. I think that because I came before Year of Return and I came before Ghana was a popular place.
And let's talk about that. Like, when did you come here?
So I came in 2013 as a student, as a study abroad student at this school at University of Ghana for 1 year. I did my senior year here, so I finished my bachelor's degree here. And so back then, it wasn't that much different, but I think that it was a little bit more raw. I think now it's getting a little bit more commercialized. I feel like when you talk to people, it's kind of a lot of regurgitated kind of talk. I feel like it's kind of like the same 5 questions that you ask the diasporan type of thing. So it was very different back then, but I will say back then, I for sure felt like I was explaining what a Black American was every single day. And that became really exhausting, considering who I'm explaining it to. Yeah.
That's fair. Thank you. Okay, and because you've been here for a while, and so this is, you have like an in-depth knowledge, I think, about the culture and the population, at least more than most African Americans. And I would ask, maybe prior to even your 2013 journey, what was your perspective of Ghanaians, of Africans, has that shifted or changed, to present day?
Because of my major, Africana Studies, my professors just taught us to love Africa. Period. Love is dirty draws. Love everything about it. Like, it don't matter. Just love it. But my professors were very honest. They didn't lie to us. There would be every single class I had, people would be crying. Like it was very heavy for a lot of people. So I came to Ghana with just a knowing of loving Ghana, period, just because it was Africa. But I didn't come to Ghana with this ancestral healing journey that a lot of people have. And that's just simply because I don't do tribes. I love the history of kingdoms and what they have done, but I also understand what the destruction has been caused on the continent because of it. So I don't have that desire of doing DNA tests and all of that. I'm not really interested in that. In terms of my interaction with Africans, honestly, I didn't interact much because where I'm from in California, originally I'm from Compton, so we don't really have Africans in our area because, they're told to be in different areas when they do come to America, and Compton ain't one of those areas that they would come to. But in college, I spent a lot of time around Ethiopians. And I spent a lot of time around them because they, still to this day, are the only group of Africans that walk up to me and say that I look like them. Nobody else does that. And so they took me in and things like that. I don't see it, but they took me in, and they would just walk up to me every single day, like young, old, everything. And so that was like my main thing because I grew up in LA. I ate Ethiopian food on Melrose and stuff like that, or Fairfax District and stuff like that. So I was more so familiar with like East Africa, Swahili, things like that. I was I gravitate more towards to East Africa, yeah. But I studied under ancient Egypt, ancient Kemet first. So, yeah.
That's fair. Okay, and so you didn't have the biases, I guess, is what you're saying. Like prior to your visit here, it wasn't like these are people with no food, no homes.
Right. And I think also because I grew up in a black neighborhood. I'm not from the suburbs. I went to public school where all my teachers were still either black or people of color. So the concept of like, I want to live around black people, I didn't have to come to Ghana for that.
No, of course not. No, I mean more so because there's a stereotype of Africans,
for sure,
of any Kenyans, Tanzanians, anything, Ethiopians, where it's like they have no resources, even though this is the wealthiest continent. So it's good to know that you had context and perspective, and something to kind of change that narrative that is so easily spoken
for sure
in our country and in our culture and our heritage. My next question would be, how has your return been? Okay, because I know we're in this year of return and beyond the return. I know you don't necessarily identify with Ghana historically or ancestrally, maybe more Ethiopia, East Africa. I think, but at the beginning, middle, and end of the day, it's still on the continent.
Right, yeah.
And so how do you feel as a returner in terms of your experiences here? Like really walk us through. Yeah, for our millions of listeners and supporters and viewers who don't know your context here.
Yeah. Well, I will say I believe that I am still a descendant of enslaved Africans. Period. I'm not one of them. Okay, I'm not one of them. Okay, let's get that clear right now. No, I am not one of them. I am not one of them.
We won't say names, but I got you.
Okay. I got you. Child, I'm not one of them. Okay, I'm a black girl from Compton, but I do identify as black. I haven't warmed up to the African term yet. Okay. I will say I'm African descent.
Okay.
But I will always, to the day that I die, say that I'm black.
Okay.
So I have more of like a historical research connection with West Africa because that's where a lot of my research is now. But like I said, I studied ancient Egypt, ancient Kemet.
Kemet, I got you. Tamari, Mizrahi,
Yeah,
I got you.
I studied ancient Kemet first. So I think for me, the reason why I didn't have those biases is because the first thing I learned about Africa was that we were pharaohs. We built the pyramids. We this, we that, we this, we that. So I kind of came, if I'm being honest, I kind of came putting them on a pedestal, seeing them larger than life.
Exactly.
So not having that ancestral healing situation, I don't romanticize the continent or the country. I very much so, I'm very research based. So I'm very critical, and not critical of in the sense of as if there's not answers to why things are the way that they are, because there are answers to why things are the way that they are. But I'm also very critical of us. I'm not one of those people I'm not going to blame white people for everything. There is a large portion that is on us, and that is on the people on the continent, and that's a very hard conversation to have with a lot of people. I don't look at us as we're perfect. And I feel that a lot of that is needed. I think sometimes when you come with that ancestral need or that healing that you're looking for, that can sometimes block you of just the reality of things. I remember when I went to the dungeons the first time, and I was just quiet the whole time, and then as soon as we left, I was like, why is this still here? I still don't understand it. Doing the research that I did on that, finding out how strategic the Dutch were in building it in the 1100s and the 1200s, the fact that they built them on top of shrines. I don't know if you're familiar with that history, but the dungeons were strategically built on top of shrines that hold a lot of power in that area when it comes to the traditional spirituality of the people in that area. And just a lot of things about the dungeons that if it was up to me, it would be gone.
That's fair.
Yeah. But I always will identify as a descendant of enslaved Africans, period. Yeah.
And so just to answer the question, because you gave me a lot, which I appreciate, and then still, like, how has your return been? Because you've been here for how long have you been in Ghana present?
Since 2022.
Since 2022, so around 3 years. So, speaking on maybe your first trip in 2013, and then your more definitely substantial trip now, like, how has the return been?
It really depends on the context. I'm a woman, so
I got you.
I feel that every day in a way that I didn't feel back home. Despite me being from where I'm from, being from Compton, men have a protocol there.
Yeah, it's true.
And they follow it. And even if I am in danger, there's a whole neighborhood. I don't have that here. And I don't want to be somewhere where I don't have that. I've learned that about myself. I thought differently because of the pedestal that I did put people on. But I'm very aware of the fact that my experience is overly shaped by my gender and my Americanness. So, when it comes to me being here, my safety has been a very, very overarching issue. And for some women, they love the attention. They love it. Kudos. For me, not so much. So because I don't have that ancestral thing, I can't really speak on that.
I see what you're saying.
And even with the concept of returning, that's still very even though I know that my ancestors came from here, I still don't know the context, regardless of the slavery part, because of the history of certain Ghanaian tribes that were canoodling and participating happily.
There you go. Canoodling is quite a
The
word.
operative word is happily.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because there is this concept of everybody was against it. And I'm gonna hold your hand when I say this. Everybody was not. And that's okay.
That's true.
It's not to say that as a diaspora war thing. I just think you have to say the things to get to the next stage.
That's the truth.
And because so much for me, I feel that the slave master slave mentality is just in your face here for me. And when you study slavery to a certain extent, you realize it's kind of it's just normal in a sense, the behaviors and the mindsets and things like that. So when it comes to like my return, it is a bittersweet experience because I'm so hyper aware, unfortunately.
That's a good thing.
But yeah, I would say the concept of returning, I feel like I won't really feel it until I travel a little bit more. I've been to Togo, I've been to Benin, I've been to Morocco, and I felt very different in Togo and Benin.
Okay.
But I need to do East Africa to really
I think
get
you
it.
do. I think Ethiopia.
Specifically Egypt though.
Okay.
Oh,
It's okay. I don't know why
modern
I keep
day
saying it.
Egypt, but
Kemet
yeah.
is a vibe. It was also known as Mislead or Tamari. But I definitely feel you. Kemet is actually a graduation gift to myself. God willing.
Yeah.
That's my next trip.
For sure. Yeah.
And I feel like I definitely understand what you mean now in terms of it's not necessarily returning because you don't really identify here. And so maybe when you find or really just situate yourself around a culture and group of people that you identify more with, it'll feel more like a return.
Exactly.
And so maybe that is Kemet, maybe that is Ethiopia, or maybe that is Kenya. Even though you don't have the phenotype, you do have the phenotype of Ethiopia, so I can see that. Okay, and so maybe more on a practical sense.
Okay.
How has your integration here? How has that been? Like, what are the pros and the cons as an African American, kind of migrating temporarily to Ghana or to African countries? Because I do know you mentioned that you are leaving. So like, give us the rundown. Yeah.
Integration in terms of like.
In terms of moving from there to here and staying here for a long period of time.
Well, I moved around a lot.
Okay.
So I'm from Compton. I went to college in San Francisco. I moved to DC at a certain point. So I did have some experience just kind of moving around a little bit. Because of that first year experience, I know Ghana like the back of my hand. I can get anywhere in the country. I can get anywhere in Accra, on a trotro, anywhere like that without GPS. Which is why I came back in 2022 because I was like, I wasn't really ready to learn a new country. And I knew that I knew that Ghana wasn't where I was going to settle, but I was just like, but I'm just not in the mood right now. It was just after COVID, and so I was just like, let me just go.
What made you want to leave the States?
Well, because I was doing my master's program.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was doing my master's program, and my thesis was about skin bleaching and colorism in Ghana and Jamaica. So in 2018 and 2016, I went to Jamaica, did some interviews, and then came here.
But I think I like it. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. So I'm really it's weird because it's like I'm really comfortable in the maneuver. Well, I can't say comfortable, but I just know how to get from point A to point B in a different way without Uber and all this other stuff. But I do know that for a lot of people it's very difficult. I'm a very independent person, not because I want to be, but I have no other choice. And so I'm not really somebody that needs their hand held and stuff like that. I just wake up and do what I gotta do, I'm okay with the bucket shower. I'm okay with boiling my water. I'm okay with it. But the trick is you gotta do some type of exercise and heat your body up. So then when you take the cold shower, it's rewarding, right? And just little things like that. You know what I mean? Little hacks like that. I mean, the market experience. It used to be my favorite thing to do, but I think now that I'm a little bit older and my paranoia has just taken a whole nother, it's a little bit more difficult for me. Integrating, I mean, it's funny because I don't speak in this accent much. I'm usually either speaking in like a West African accent or speaking.
So speak it.
Tree. No, I won't do that on camera.
Are you West African?
I won't do that.
I mean, please enough. Are you from the Caribbean?
I'm from Compton.
Okay, but so how do you speak the Patois?
I don't speak Patois.
Oh, I'm sorry. So what do you?
I'm saying like when I'm here and when I'm interacting with Ghanaians, I don't like repeating myself.
Okay.
So I'll speak in their accent.
And their tongue. Okay.
Yeah,
I see what
yeah.
you're
But
saying.
most of the time I'm just speaking in Tree.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
So you know Tree, bro?
Meant to K.Y.R.A. and
Oh,
see.
okay.
Yeah. So, but the thing about for me that I do want to say about integrating, just now that I thought about that, one of the things that I don't like is having to hide my Americanness. I don't know if you have that experience, but for me, I feel like I have to hide it. And that has been something that has made me say, oh, I want to go back home. Because I feel like I have to hide it. Because I'm from a place where when somebody say, where you from, it's a life or death question.
Oh, sorry.
You know what I'm saying? And so here, I've realized it's not a life or death question, but it's a price question. It's a treatment question.
Yeah.
It's a if I'm gonna lie to you question.
Yeah.
And
Take
that's
advantage of you question.
that's still very threatening for me at the end of the day, you know. And so that has been the piece that has really been bothering me a lot. Is feeling like I have to hide my identity and hide who I am and hide my accent and hide my this and hide my like I have to hide everything to the point where it's just like I don't want to do this anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah. Being asked if I'm Nigerian, knowing how, unfortunately, how some Ghanaians feel about Nigerians, that can change my whole trajectory of my day. You know what I mean? I've been asked when I buy apartments for the year, you know, what tribe are you? No Nigerians can live here.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, and I'm like, I'm not Nigerian, you know what I mean? But then there's days where I have to pretend to be this and that because if I say I'm an American, everything changes.
Prices go up.
Everything. I mean, not even just prices, but my safety. My safety changes. Being followed changes. Being watched in my neighborhood changes. Being surveillanced by people changes, you know. So there's people in my neighborhood that think I'm South African. There's people that think that I'm Ghanaian and white. I just be like, whatever it is that y'all think, to leave me alone. You know. So yeah.
I feel that. No, that's intense. And thank you. Like I think having the pros and the cons. The pros and the cons are important because a lot of diasporans are obviously like considering not just moving here, but living here, investing here, building families here. And I think these are the perspectives and narratives that we need. Okay, I just have two more.
Okay.
There's two more. What do you wish more Ghanaians knew about African Americans, about diaspora?
It's funny, I just did a video about this at African Privilege in America. But I think that the only way that they can understand us is if they know who they are.
Okay.
I think that as an African, as a Black American, we have been told that we don't know who we are. We've been told we don't know where we come from. We've been told, you know, we don't know how, you know, we came to be. And being here, I've realized that African Americans are the most educated on that history, if you want me to be very, very honest. And I feel like I don't want them to know anything about me. I want them to know about themselves. I want them to read the stories of their history that they refuse to read.
Okay.
You know, because you can't understand me if you don't understand how I came to be. I didn't exist 400 years ago. So you have to understand what happened to you. What decisions did y'all make with them and them and them and them to create all of us? You know what I mean? That's what I've come to the realization of. I feel like we can talk till we're blue in the face of knowing what it's like to be from Compton and all this stuff. They still want to go to America. You can tell them the most horror story in the world. You can tell them you just got shot, and they would be like, "Oh, please take me," you know. And so, unfortunately, there's not a connection in those ways. You know, the video that I just did, the guy had mentioned, he had said, like, you know, for Africans in America, they look at that as a temporary thing. So when they face racism, they don't care about it too much. They're not going to let it bother them because it's temporary. And I asked them, I said, we good?
No, the sun is coming, so I know that the lighting is going to get very bad.
True. Okay, let's test it then. Do you want to see it? You want to check it?
I can check it and I can just cut this part out.
Because then we can move to the other side.
Exactly. So it's still phenomenal. It's still phenomenal. Good? Yep. It probably like, once I'm done, I think.
Okay, then we'll move to the other side. And I asked him, I said, that's interesting that you feel like that, you know, there's like this temporary feeling of it, so that's why you guys don't react to racism in America the way that we do. Mm-hmm. And I said, but was it temporary in 1100? In the year 1100? Was it temporary then? Yeah. Was it temporary in the year 1600? Okay. You know, like I really try to understand like what, and he made a comment saying that, you know, for them, they only understand it as classism. Mm-hmm. But my question is who are Europeans to tell you you're poor? Mm-hmm. Before there was classism, it was race, it was racism, you know? And so for me, I just feel like, understanding what happened to them, because so many people really genuinely don't know. Mm-hmm. They really genuinely do not know. And we say the words 400 years, and sometimes I hear Ghanaians say 400 years, and I be like, no, yours is 1100. Yeah, okay. You know what I mean? The Dutch came here in the 1100s, in the year 1000. Like, you know, like, so ours is 400. Y'all been dealing with them for 1,000 years. So tell me about that. And that's where the disconnect comes. And I think if we interrogated a little bit more of that time frame, we would be able to prevent some of the things that's happening right now.
I feel what you're saying. So in terms of like what you wish they knew more about African Americans, it's more so like learn about your context to the African American story, which is you being complicit in this transatlantic slave trade. Not 100%, because some people were stolen, some people were taken under and against their will, but others did, you know, send prisoners of war, though they had their own slavery systems here, and so that was their kind of point of reference or context to, okay, I'm just selling this person, they're gonna make them work the farm, they'll be able to pay off whatever debt they owe. They didn't know the extent of this atrocity of humanity known as the transatlantic slave trade, and how your children's children will still be owned by mine. That's not practiced here. You know, so there's a lot of different levels to it, but I do agree with what you're saying, where they should have a transatlantic, not even a transatlantic class, but like something oriented around their relationship and their history and their responsibility in it, and just their context in it, because if you don't know about it, then it does seem like whoever comes here is other, but the moment you do know your role in it, and moreover like your relationship to these Europeans that you still in some way, shape, or form idolize, it can change things. Okay, I want to be very brief. How can we unite? I think African Americans, Diasporans, Africans are the most vibrant people, though we are constantly either pinned against each other or told aggressive, negative, detrimental things about the other. So again, we either feel that way about ourselves, we internalize that racism, or we feel that way about others and have this like false sense of superiority. How can we unite as people?
I think there's a few things. I think the first thing is the Black American is not here to save anybody, and to stop looking at us as such. Because I don't think that Africans are the only ones who feel that way. I think there's a context of the African diaspora that looks to Black America in a very particular type of way that I don't think is fair, considering how much work we have done. I think that first, stop looking at the Black American as the white American, because a lot of us are still white people with dark skin to them.
It's true.
I was told that many times in 2013. and like as a like a genuine, that's genuinely what
genuinely
people
what
thought,
they
like
think,
not as
because-
an insult,
yeah,
like
yeah,
genuinely
it's the
that's
truth.
what they thought.
Because they,
Like, you
Yeah.
know, so I think that stop centering Black America, everybody, because that's a part of the war. That's what starts the arguments. That's what starts the, you know, that's what starts the animosity, the what we have compared to what they have. That just kind of has to stop in order to even remotely have a conversation. And that leads into even with like this whole concept of year of return, you know. I wish that the year of return was a Pan-African Congress or conference.
Okay.
I wish that it was something that we came to with a purpose, with a plan. I wish that we came to a conference every year to actually have conversations, to actually have these dialogues, instead of having these dialogues and living, you know, doing it all at once type of thing. I think that we should have more of that all over the continent. You know, sometimes just moving to these other countries, it's not doing what everybody thinks that it's doing. Not like that, but buying a house is not a flex. That's a normal human thing that everybody should do. But it's not doing the thing that people think it's doing economically or socially, honestly. Because it's actually dividing us and furthering us away. So I would say stop centering Black America.
Stop censoring or centering?
Centering. Stop centering Black America as the nucleus of saviorism. I'm so sorry, but we're not here to save anybody. We went through something, and nobody is acknowledging it, and they're just making money from it. So at some point that has to stop. I think that when it comes to uniting, that's a very nice word, but I think we need a goal and we need a plan. And there is no goal and there is no plan. You know, Pan-Africanism is a beautiful word. There is no goal and there is no plan, and I think that it hasn't been expanded in the ways that it should have been from the time of these people's deaths and things like that.
This is the point of the question.
Yeah.
So what are some of those objectives? What are some of those goals? In your opinion, how can we?
Well, I mean, when you look at some of the texts from the Pan-African Conference with like Du Bois and things like that from 1919, you know, a lot of the things that they would talk about would be, you know, it would be broken up in the typical categories: political, economics, this, and this, you know. But there was always a portion that was specific to how we connect to each other, you know. And we can't even get past the connecting part. And we're trying to build our economics together, but we don't even connect with each other. So it's I feel like there's certain layers. So that's what I mean by, like, if we were to have these annual meetings, you know, where it's not about coming and investing, and it's not about come and spend your money and go, and it's not about that, and it's more so about, no, actually learn about the country and actually learn about the history and do it with the people as well, because this might not be for you, right? And I think that it's not just about the diaspora connecting to Africa. Africa's not connected to Africa. So I can't expect for one country to connect with the entire diaspora when they won't connect with their next door neighbor. I can't expect that of nobody, right? And we can't be expected to be the savior of 54 countries. That's not going to happen, right? And so I feel like everybody just kind of has to be involved, and there has to be some type of planning. If there was a conference like how it was back in the day, all these different African leaders, all these different people, you know, and they would have these conversations, and then they would go back to their respective countries and then implement different things like that. But we don't have succession planning in our communities and in our culture. We don't continue things a lot. We don't pass the baton a lot. And so when it comes to unifying, for me, succession planning is such a big piece to it, because I have to be able to continue what you left off. And so we can't unite if every time a new generation comes, we're all starting from scratch
You just
every
go
single
with the other
time.
person did, yeah.
So sometimes the way that we pass things down, even if it's just familial, sometimes that is to our detriment. So I think when it comes to uniting, we really do have to take baby steps, because I think we have jumped the gun with this investment conversation. And I think that we need to get past the social and the connecting part.
Yeah, the social, the cultural, the political integration before just the economic. I love that you said it's hard to unite, all, arms of African descendants when there's no intra-Africa connection or integration or unity. I think that's very, huge in terms of don't trust the man who don't trust the naked man who attempts to give you his shirt. If you're cold, it's like you want to integrate. How you doing with Togo? How you doing with Burkina? How you doing with Sierra and Cote d'Ivoire? So these are their neighbors. So I don't want to belabor the point. Really good interview. You have one more question. I'm gonna leave the frame. This is really just a moment to speak to the people, speak to the world, speak to our supporters. And so you're simply gonna say, dear Black woman, it is okay too. Okay, we have a lot of different viewers, people from all parts of the country, all parts of the world. And so really this is your moment to speak to them. So it's like, again, dear Black women, it is okay too.
Okay.
Okay, so you can start whenever you're ready.
Dear Black women, it is okay to not like something. No one's gonna fight you. No one's gonna beat you up. You don't have to perform your personality, and you don't have to perform your expectations. Whether it's the expectations that you have of yourself or the expectations that your family or your society that you come from have of you, it's okay to not agree. Yeah.
That's a wrap. Thank you.